Hey, how you doing? Officer J here again. I'm going to give you guys some news stories. One is just an event that happened, has nothing to do with me. You guys probably have seen it. I'm also going to give you one that happened to me over the weekend. So in Florida, there was an incident where an officer and his sergeant exchanged gunfire. I won't even call it exchange gunfire because it was only the officer and the sergeant who shot at his own patrol car. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen this story. Funny. It's not funny, but it is funny because everybody's okay. Everybody made it out. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some lawsuits. That's just the nature of the business. But Florida, they arrested this guy. This Florida Sheriff's Office, they arrested a guy. They patted him down, made sure he didn't have any weapons on him. It was for a domestic call. Now, they put him in the back of a unit. And while the arresting officer was handling other business, an Acorn fell on top of the vehicle. Now, he took the Acorn as a shots fired, as in Acorn hit the top of the unit. For whatever reason, I wasn't there, so I'm not going to sit there and judge him. But he thought the Acorn hitting the top of his unit was a gunshot. He immediately backs up. He starts firing at his own unit. He screams out, shots fired over the radio. His sergeant, who was also there, in his sergeant's defense, he hears shots fired. He sees his fellow officer shooting at a unit, so he also starts shooting at the unit as well. He's reacting to what his other officer's doing. The guy that was in the back of the unit, he's perfectly fine. He wasn't injured. He wasn't hit. Whenever they get back, that's when they realize, hey, this was just an Acorn. If you've probably seen the memes on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat about like something Acorn related with law enforcement. If you have any law enforcement friends on your friend list, but that's what that's all about. It's a serious situation because shots were fired, especially from an officer towards a suspect. The only silver lining is that everything was cleared up and nobody was hurt. So looking back at it, we can laugh at the situation of an Acorn set this off. It's not a funny situation, but it's just funny as, wow, really, an Acorn set these events, But, so, now that's that event. Now, my event is, I'm working private security. I won't say where I'm at, but this is over the weekend. It's around 3 in the morning, 2:45, 3 in the morning, and everybody's hanging out, at this private security. One guy comes in. People will have guns hidden all the time, so you're not going to be able to locate every single gun. But this gentleman comes in with his pants sagging, and apparently he had a gun in his waistband. As all the time, he goes to adjust his pants, but since he had the gun in his waistband, when he pulled up on his pants, he either pulled the gun or he pulled the belt, and it caught the trigger. So we're in this enclosed building, people are sitting there having a good time. They just finished partying. The gun goes off. I mean, I don't know if small building, one big gunshot, that's going to be pretty loud and pretty getting everybody's attention, if you know what I mean. So at this point, everybody's sitting to the left of me. They're looking around to make sure, hey, you guys okay? They're like, yeah. They grab their stuff and they head out. I'm looking at the patrons of the establishment that I'm in. They're just as confused. I see this guy kind of like, fumbling with his pants area, and I'm like, bro, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, man, it was an accident. So, and then at this point, I see what appears to be his gun in his left hand. I'm like, I didn't have to draw down on him, but at this point, I have a level 3 holster. That means the different steps and different levels I have to do before I can actually draw my weapon. The holster being level 1. The button to pull it out, the holster being level 2, and there's a little strap that comes on top of it that being level 3. So at this point, I've recognized the gun, but I mean, even before that, I came around the corner, I knew it was him. I had already popped the strap down, so that's one of the levels out of 3 that's gone. Finger on the button to pull it out, but it's still in the holster, so that's level 2. And at this point, I'm sitting there like, hey man, I see you have a gun. Like, yeah, it was an accident. I was like, not saying it wasn't an accident. I'm like, but this is a establishment full of people. I'm gonna need to get the gun off of you, bro, because I mean, At this point, I don't know what's going on. We got to figure out what's going on. So he's still kind of nervous. Hey, look, man, look. Right now, you're saying it's an accident. I said, but I'm going to need that gun. I said, you're going to have to give it to me or I'm going to have to take it from you. So he's still just kind of like fumbling. So at that point, I just grab the gun, Herb take it, slide it back, eject the shell. Because for whatever reason, I know why. The shell didn't eject because of the way it was positioned in his pants. So the casing was still in there. Eject the shell, take the magazine out, kind of toss it to the side. That way that particular gun is no longer a threat, even if he was to get it away from me. Because the shell, the magazine is off to the side. He would have to do some maneuvering to get another live round. So at this point, I was like, hey, man, look, I'm going to need you to just sit tight. We're going to have more officers coming. We can, figure out what's going on or whatever. And I'm the only officer here. So at this point, he takes off. I'm like, look, I got a gun in my hand, his gun, my gun on my side. I have people that I need to make sure everybody's okay. No shrapnel, because shock, you wouldn't know if you got hit right away. So he takes off. I make sure everybody's okay. He gets in his vehicle. I call out the license plate to dispatch. Dispatch puts it into the computer. Cameras start pinging in all these different places. Other officers arrive. They locate them. Whole incident took less than 6 minutes. They catch them, they apprehend them. So this story was just like I said, these two stories didn't really have anything to do. It was just kind of like recent event. One that happened in Florida and one that happened with me. My biggest thing is, especially with my story, is the whole thing turned out to be an accident, but at the end of the day, he was carrying an illegal concealed weapon. Weapon wasn't illegal, but him carrying it concealed without a permit made it illegal. And then illegal discharge, because you can't just fire a weapon, even if it's an accident, in an establishment loaded with people. So he got arrested on those charges. But going forward, my biggest takeaway from this story is people need to learn how to properly handle their weapons. Guy didn't mean to do it, but if his gun was in a proper holster and where it should have been, this would have never happened. He'd have never had to get arrested. Like I said, before that, he wasn't doing anything wrong, but he was carrying his weapon illegally. So that is something wrong. But if you're going to carry a weapon, you can open carry depending on what state you're in. Get a permit if you're going to carry it, concealed. And if you are going to carry concealed, put it in a holster, something that protects that trigger. That way, just pulling your pants up doesn't, set it off. So I'm not going to sit there and say that, gun control, this and that, but responsible gun ownership is pretty much the message of this story. But, yeah. So that's it. You guys remember, like and subscribe and send questions and more topics that we can cover. Thanks.